All right, Rapid. Game number 3 is underway. We are tied up in this best-of-5 finals for the East between University of Toronto and Carnegie Mellon University. You just heard his name. That's Rapid. I'm Fekez. We're in game number 3. Picks and bans already coming out. Pretty similar to game number 1 and 2. Vladimir, Yasuo, and of course Rengar, Shin. But some respect given over to Mino Haxor with that Malzahar.
All right, yeah, banning out the Malzahar. We saw a Lulu ban in game number 1, or in game number 2 as well, in response to the game number 1 Lulu. I don't want to say carry, but JJ did have a good game on that one. So it'll be interesting to see really the reactive bans, because you can't reactively ban everything. There are very important champions you need to keep off the board. So no Lulu ban here means, yeah, there it is, insta-lock for Toronto.
Yeah, JJ did great in game number 1, but like you said, he can't get everything off the board. But they did take Jish's Orianna off the board, as that was one of the key factors into them, to a shining light for Toronto in that last. I guess there was a team fight, and it was underneath the turret, because everything else after that was more like a slaughter. It wasn't really a team fight. But Jish on those Orianna on the Orianna has been doing pretty well with those shockwaves, turning fights around quite literally. And they're going to take that one away. Rumble going back over to Mega Zero, and for good reason, did very well. Tegro Please actually opting to not go for the Lee Sin this time around, going for that game number 1 Ivern that he kind of fell short on, it seemed like.
Yeah, really did like the more aggressive jungle pick there in game number 2. Tegro Please I might have, done so well because he was just camping for Yasui, and that sort of snowballed out of control. So taking it off of the carry jungle and going for more of a supportive pick there probably means that we won't see a Katarina again from Yasui, but really unsure about what his champion pool is really looking like. I mean, you expect things like, Riv and Akali to still maybe be there as leftovers from, his previous competitive career, but we'll get a chance to see what he wants to go for, because I think his team should give him the counter pick again, because he still doesn't know what he's going up again, and indeed that is the strategy that CMU will employ as we look for the last 2 picks coming out from Toronto.
Yeah, and speaking of picks, just like game number 1, Yummy Bananas, I believe he just plays Nunu into Ivern just to control his own jungle and make sure he doesn't get as much taken away from him, because he is once again going back onto the Nunu, and JJ back on that Lulu. And actually, so far, everything is status quo in game number 1 for Toronto. Of course, we're not going to see the Orianna. Like you said, we're going to see what is picked up here. But over on the other side, it is the Karma and the Ashe in the bot side for Coggles and Yusui. And I actually take that back. Caitlyn was actually on Coggles last game, so they flip-flopped the ADCs this time around. But we're still waiting for those last 2 picks. I would love to see a Talon. I don't think I'm going to. Will I? We do see a Nautilus in the top lane, though. And I'm surprised we haven't seen a Nautilus yet. And we do get a Talon. Oh, my God. So a lot different playstyle than an Orianna. Whoa. I'm excited to see what Jish can pull out with this Talon.
And also interesting, sorry about that, to notice that you've got Lulu and Nautilus. Those are 2 big anti-engaged champions. Also, Nunu can build very, very tanky. We saw what Yummy Bananas did with that in game number 1. So this is a really cool opportunity for Yasui to mix things up, not play a carry champion, and look to really support the rest of his team and enable them. If he does go for something to try to 1v1 Jish's Talon, he better be ready, because if that gets out of hand, you're in for a lot of trouble. And it does look like, in fact, Syndra is the lock-in for Yasui.
Yeah, so we're going to have that long-range stun. Probably the longest range in the game, not to mention one of the biggest burst potentials in the game as well. So once again, bringing a mixture of magic and physical damage on the side of CMU. At least that's kind of debatable, actually. Yeah, considering Ashe is the biggest AD damage. Ivern, like you mentioned in game number 1, more of a support jungler, and you do have Karma as a support as well. So definitely going to be supporting the 3 damage dealers here as Ivern, and with Ivern and Karma. But on the other side, I do have our lock-ins with Nautilus, Nunu, Talon, Caitlyn, and Lulu. Very interesting team from Toronto, but they had an interesting team in game number 1. I feel like they can make it work in game number 3 here as well.
You know, I wouldn't disagree with that one, Fekez. Really looking towards Jish's talent, big question mark there. We want to see how that works up against Yasui Syndra. That's going to be the matchup that I'm going to be highlighting. Another big question mark for me is going to be this rematch, Nunu versus Ivern in the jungle. Tegro, please, really needs to show up because he certainly did not have a good game number 1 in that exact matchup. So some things to keep an eye on.
For sure, and we're going to see how that plays out when this game gets underway. Remember, it is tied up 1-1 right now. This is game number 3 in a best-of-5 series. We're counting down with the spectator delay, and that gives me the opportunity to tell you about some of our sponsors. Band Gaming, a social app for CSL, and we hope it's yours as well because they have chat, call functionality, calendars, boards, polls. It's pretty easy to choose Band Gaming and succeed with that one. Of course, you can join the CSL community at band.us/@CStarLeague. Also want to thank Twitch. They've been sponsoring us from PAX East to PAX West, from last year to this year, and hopefully in the future as well. They are a huge proponent for CSL and expanding the collegiate presence for everyone and to enjoy. And of course, Asus, they're back with us for the 2016-2017 season, providing everything from monitors, laptops, routers, graphics cards. They introduced me to VR. I have nothing bad to say about Asus. Go check them out. They're fantastic. Also want to give a few plugs here as well. We're hiring social media managers. Head over to cstarleague.com for more information about that and get your foot in the door in esports with CSL. Fantastic group to start with. Midwest Campus Clash is going on, 25K on the line, and the finals being April 8th at Columbia College, Missouri. You can actually type !Clash in the chat for more information about that. You can also go to twitch.tv/communities/collegiate or follow Twitch Student on Twitter for information about Twitch Collegiate program. It's very fantastic, and go check it out. It's again more presence for the collegiate community. I absolutely love it. You should too, because I mean you're obviously here watching. You care about collegiate gaming. And last but not least, Asus, they are having a contest right now. Submit a video that showcases either your collegiate gaming club or awesome plays from footage from yourself or one of your club's best players. You can email that video to admin@cstarleague.com with the subject title ROG submission, and make sure it's the actual video file, not a YouTube link. Make sure it's the actual raw footage. And you can enter yourself into a chance to win a GL502 laptop from Asus. A beast of a hardware. So check that out. Videos can be submitted up until April 10th. My name is Joshua Fekes Quest. I'm here with Reed Rapid Mountain. Stick around. Best of 5 in game number 3 coming up between Toronto and CMU. It's tied up. We'll see who can bring out into game number 4 as the leader and who has to be put on the ropes. Stick around.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
All right, you just heard it. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Once again, my name is Joshua Fekes Quest. I'm here with Reed Rapid Mountain. Game number 3, it's tied up. No aggressive plays coming out this early round. Both teams want to play cautiously. You mentioned in game number 2, Rapid, if you have a lead, don't don't end up throwing that away. Don't give yourself the chance to throw that away. And of course, both teams just want to play safe right now because they want to get the lead in the first place.
Right, and for Carnegie Mellon, they did throw away their lead a little bit by diving, getting Wombo comboed by Jeesh. Well, hey, you know, Shockwave's one way to get the Wombo on, but same thing for Jeesh's talent here. Yummy Bananas, a little bit over-aggressive there, but as Nunu, you can always kind of afford to drop a little bit down lower in HP early because you're going to get that back. Nunu doesn't lose a ton of health through the jungle thanks to Consume.
Right, not to mention he also has a rejuvenation bead, so he's just going to sit there, heal that up a little bit. He actually opted for that over any sort of sustain in regards to a potion. So he's going to be able to build himself into items a little bit faster, but yeah, like you said, Consume is going to keep him quite healthy. He can take out jungle camps very quickly, which allows less of a window for Tegro Please's Ivern to come in and steal them away. And at his speed with the Smite, so not so bad. He just wanted some information over onto that red, and it looks like he's going to take advantage of that one right now as he sees he goes actually going to go meet Tegro Please. And Yusui is going to match up with Yummy Bananas, so has to be careful. Jeesh following up as well, so very aggressive play coming out from Yummy Bananas, but it's only to kind of harass. Didn't really get too much down. Tegro Please is going to stay safe, take his buffs, and just go back on his route.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a little bit scary to witness as a jungler if you do run into the other jungler on your opponent's side of the map and their mid laner rotates quickly enough, you're going to be in for a little bit of trouble. Now, level 2s have been hit there in the mid lane, so you definitely have to keep an eye on Jeesh, especially level 3. That power spike, especially if it comes with a level discrepancy, is an easy way to pick up an early first blood. But jungler versus jungler, we're going to see that matchup once again here. Yummy Bananas versus Tegro Please, and Yummy comes out on top.
Yeah, he has to back up this time around as Tegro Please, if he has that Smite up, he can take a buff very quickly, even faster than Consume and Smite, because it actually takes it instantly. One thing we haven't focused too much on is this top lane. Mega Zero, Galguy, the Rumble versus the Nautilus. I'm actually surprised we haven't seen a Nautilus this time around. We've only seen aggressive top laners thus far, and Nautilus, he is a tried and true meta lane top champion if I've ever seen one. He is just a giant front line for his team, and his whole goal is just to not die. And it's going to be hard for Mega Zero to actually bring down the submerged. I don't even know what Nautilus is. A diver? Is he a diver? A demon diver? I don't know what he is, but it's going to be hard for him to break through that armor, especially that front line whenever it comes time to these team fights. Galguy, he is going to be the stone in which University of Toronto stands on during these team fights. And of course, Yummy Bananas is no slouch either in that regard. He does build the Tiamat early on, but he will get tanky in his own right as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason for the rejuvenation beat, right? He does want to rush that Tiamat. You know, it's a little bit alternative, especially if you're one of those guys that only follows the Mobifier builds or just always builds the same way every time. Maybe this is your opportunity to see what it looks like to play a Nunu a little bit differently. Of course, Yummy Bananas, definitely an expert in that regard, but we'll see how well that works this time around.
I've not heard the term Mobifier in so long.
That's where I went for all of my builds when I was first starting to play League of Legends back then.
I was a mod on TeamSoloMid.net, and I actually made some guides for Fiddlesticks back in the day, and that's where I got all mine. Fun fact. Coggles.
Bottom lane of Coggles. Whoa.
Yeah, Coggles is getting chunked. He actually flashes and uses his heal as well, but the first blood is going to go over to Uri with that long base attack range, able to pick it up, and now maybe getting a double kill. The Field of Peacemaker is going to miss, but damage done. First blood, University of Toronto's bot lane, Uri.
Yikes. Okay, so Mano Haxor didn't exhaust in that fight. I think there was a fairly strong window where you just needed to have that to limit the damage that was coming out. Uri got to auto attack way too much, and Coggles pays the price for it. Uri already up about 10 CS in lane, and that advantage is only going to get larger.
See some pings coming out in the mid lane. He's going to back off. And yeah, the advantage is bot lane. Yeah, Uri, not first blood, but now he's way up in CS, also shoving in a wave maybe denying half a wave of Coggles as well. It's actually going to be frozen in a very nice position. Tegro Please back in the mid lane. Yummy Bananas there to follow up. But Tegro Please misses his root collar. That means he's just going to go back underneath the turret. Because Jeesh, that is one thing about Talon. His biggest CC is death. He does have a slow, but other than that, you're not going to really be able to stop anybody if you don't get the kill. And Tegro Please, I mean, he has a pretty healthy shield, and Jeesh not quite at the position to be a damaging force right now with a long sword and corrupting potions. But he is going to be able to ward, throw out some information for Yummy Bananas. And that is one advantage of being a Talon, is you can get out of harm's way very easily, vaulting over a wall.
A lot of times you really do have to use that in order to escape. The other usage would be for really cool roam opportunities. And now that Jeesh has hit level 6, we should look to see some of those come out. Now, I mean, he's probably going to wait to buy before he really looks to roam too much. But the fact that he has been able to hit level 6 and is keeping parity on CS with Yasui in that melee versus range disadvantaged matchup early on, that's actually boding very well for Jeesh, and of course, consequently for the rest of Toronto.
Yeah, we're gonna see how it turns out. It's definitely gonna be up to this mid lane to really come out on the powerful exchange here for Toronto. We've been putting him on a passive mid laner on the Orianna, but can still do a lot of damage, but it's not the, typical carry of a mid laner. But this time, Talon, that is a carry through and through, just like Katarina on Yusui last game. Gonna see if Jeesh can be just as effective on the Talon, who actually already has a Hex Drinker, so already building toward not only Mega Zero, not only Yusui I should say, but Mega Zero as well. And Tegro Please does a lot of damage, magic damage in his own right. If he's is inside of a bush, his auto attack turns into magic damage, so that will proc it as well and give himself a shield. But Coggles needs to be careful. Coggles has just been on the defensive constantly in the bot side, and Mino Haxor having trouble keeping him protected against this long base damage, base range attack of Hurry.
Yeah, Coggles is really in a little bit of a rough spot right now. He gave up that early lane presence, or he just took full advantage of that. Wound up getting that kill in lane, came back with a BF sword, and I love the pickup of the cull as well, saying, hey, I know I'm ahead. While I'm ahead, I'll be able to get even more ahead in the long run with that extra gold coming his way thanks to cull.
Daisy popped out around this red buff. As Yummy Banana is doing his best to counter jungle, Tegro Please not having any part of that. And he does force Yummy Bananas out of his jungle. That is Daisy down, though. If that does count for anything here. And that is another thing. With the red buff, you can give it over to your allies, but Yusui and Mega Zero, no, they don't really benefit from the red buff, so maybe, well, I'll say that may be wasted. Now, but we do have a teleport into the bot side. Mino Haxor, he is in a bad position. His flash is not up yet. Gao Guy teleporting, picking up that kill. And now it looks like we have a roam also from Canada. Toronto, that is. From Jeesh. As he roams down with the Talon, picks himself up a kill. Coggles stood no chance. Talon is an assassin, and Coggles is nothing but a wary, feeble ADC. And when you're against that, when Talon gets put against that, you slice their throat, and you get the kill. And that's exactly what happened. Toronto, 3-0 now in the lead of kills.
3-0, I mean, it's a good advantage, but Fekez, keep in mind, if you want to think all the way back to game 1, that's when Yasui had a 3-0 advantage for his team, and things went very, very badly immediately following that great equalizer, though. JJ and Uri in a rough spot.
Yeah, the wild growth being used onto JJ. Is it going to be enough to keep him alive? It is not, but Mega Zero picks up that kill, but it is retaliated as Jeesh launches himself onto Mega Zero, who's already weakened. That was a nice use of the explosive flower by Uri and JJ. 1 for 1, but Mega Zero, probably the more important target here. Now Jeesh looking for more. He's going in, throws down his ultimate. Tegro Please going down. 3-0-0 on Jeesh. He is looking in fine form here, and that is another kill. This time Yummy Banana is picking up that one, but just another edge that Toronto has in this 10-minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, the edge is beginning to be sharpened, Fekez. I think that's a fair way to say it.
That was good.
Well, the cool thing about this for Toronto is that not only is Geesh very strong, but they've been spreading the love around, giving that extra gold. And really, every single lane has something going for it. I would say that if you're looking for, you know, a strength coming out of Carnegie Mellon, you probably want to look towards Mega Zero in the top lane. He's got a good 1v1 matchup there, can kind of bully Gaogai around. And then for the mid lane, you really want to see Yasui start to come back a little bit more. He does have that 30 CS advantage, so even though he's down 3 kills, that should even out. In fact, if you look at the gold count, you can see he's only going to be down maybe like 400 gold, which should you know, be coming from the additional roams and you know, damage is picked up that, or gold picked up that way. But now Daisy popped up in the mid lane, looks to pressure that mid turret.
Yeah, Daisy just using their being there to absorb those turret shots and keep the minions alive for that siege in the mid lane. But the rest of Toronto regroup and force everyone on Carnegie Mellon back. They may be looking for a turret of their own though. If CMU go back, that would leave the mid lane turret exposed. Not to mention the dragon has yet to be picked up. It is a Cloud Drake. It's not a high priority Drake, but still an objective to take. It does give experience regardless of what Drake it is. And they do stack up quite a bit if the game goes on too far. With the Elder Drake, you want every Drake possible in the early going. So it does amplify damage, but not to mention stacks on true damage per elemental Drake that you pick up, regardless, again, if it's the Cloud, Mountain, Infernal, Ocean, doesn't matter. It's all the Elder Drake's children, and he respects you when you kill his children because that's just the family dynamic they have. But looks like
is that the way that works, Fekez?
Yeah, I got no other explanation for it. I'm just making a story in my head.
I don't know about that explanation. Keep in mind, Geesh gonna be using his parkour powers, heading up to the top lane, or not. Right as I said that, the caster curse kicked in, and he's heading back down towards mid. So, you know, this is the part of the game where things get a little bit wacky. We start to see turrets start falling, and that means that, you know, lanes start to get switched up. So immediately what we saw for Carnegie Mellon when they took their first turret in game 2 is they rotated their dual lane up top to try to take another one. So it'll be interesting to see if they react the same way, or if we see the same reaction out of Toronto now that they've dominated that bottom.
Yeah, and speaking of them dominating the bottom, they actually just stole away Tegro Please's buff, and they see that Tegro is on the top side, which means they are going to go ahead and start up this Drake and take the first one of the game with no problem. Very nice play on the map for Toronto, seeing Tegro out of place, taking advantage of that one, picking themselves up an objective. And we see Yummy Banana with that that Tiamat, able to clear waves pretty fast. You say how weird it is, it works. It's an odd build, but it works, and it helps Yummy Bananas clear his jungle very, very quickly. Not to mention, he can counter jungle very quickly as well. Geesh 3-0-1 right now in the mid lane, and yeah, you were talking about the mid lane CS gap, and it's actually gotten wider.
Wow.
Where, yeah, Yusui's actually almost caught up in gold right now. He's only about 300 down now.
Yeah, you really can't say enough for that. Yasui not necessarily winning the aggressive game, but he's playing the long game, and it's still working out for him. Now almost 30 to 40 CS up over Geesh. I mean, Geesh has been going in and getting the kills, and that's cool, but you have to really cover all your bases if you do want to get that dominant lead and maintain it. And you know, Geesh is doing the best that he can. He's found a side lane. He's going to continue to push that and get a lot of CS coming his way. In that way, now waiting in the bush, trying to see if anything's coming down towards the bottom half of the map, and most likely not. Carnegie, though, grouping up in the mid lane looking for a push.
Yeah, and Yusui decides, I'm sorry, Geesh decides to stay in the bot side and split push a little bit. Now he may be making his way. Might be looking for a flank here. Flash being blown by Airy to get out of harm's way underneath this mid lane turret. There's absolutely zero coming out, and Geesh launches himself in. There's a wild growth going to keep him alive even through the exhaust. Geesh able to pick up the kill on the Coggles, and this is Toronto able to pick up multiple kills, but Mega Zero comes in for the save with the equalizer. Tegro Please and Coggles are down. JJ the only one dead on the side of Toronto. The health bars are still pretty healthy for Toronto, but a lot of wave clear with Yusui here on the Syndra. Syndra, one of the best wave clears in the game. Can even take a minion out of the entire lane if you wish you wanted to, but also just throw it onto the backside. Clear quite a bit, quite fast. That's going to keep CMU's mid lane turret quite alive and healthy.
Yeah, so they do defend there in the mid lane. They're starting to come back just a little bit now. It's still down 4K gold, and that gold is in a really good spot on Jish. He's still working on completing his first major item, but we should see that on this recall as he is sitting on about 1,000 gold. So probably a Hex Drinker to come out of this, if I am not mistaken. No, actually goes the aggressive route. Or he already had a Hex Drinker. I was thinking he was going to go into Maw, but instead goes into Youmuu's, going aggressive instead of defensive. And I like that choice given how much he's started his snowball roll.
Yeah, 4-0-2. I would like to see him stay aggressive as well, and he does. So we're going to see what he can do with the Youmuu's when he speeds himself up. Now Toronto might be getting pinched in the top side. There's a teleport coming out from Galguy, but it's too little too late. Eri goes down. Not enough to keep him alive. Wild Growth was not available. There's Enchanted Crystalline Arrow from across the map, the mid lane, onto JJ, but it's not enough. Mino Haxor goes down, and now Jish looking for a kill as well. Does get it onto Mega Zero. It's 1 for 2 in the top side in favor of Toronto, and they may be able to pick up this top lane turret as well.
I gotta say, I mean, you can say, hey, trading 1 for 1's worth it, right? Maybe 1 for 2, that's worth it, right? But man, putting more kills on Jish is just really gonna be rough. There's Yummy Bananas going in.
Yeah, Absolute Zero just to use just to clear this wave, but Unleashed Power coming out from Yusui, able to drive him all the way back, and now there's the Redemption coming out from Mino Haxor. CMU, they're looking to try to aggress, but Galguy and JJ step in the way of their aggression. Now a flash from Galguy, hooking in Coggles. A little bit there, but it's okay. And now Yusui, he's actually might be in a bad position here as he is going to, no, he's actually going to be joined in by his family here, so he's going to be fine. Family, I meant teammates, but you know what, they're all family at the point. That was the longest dredge line I have ever seen, and Uri picks up that kill with one of the longest Piltover Peacemakers as well. A lot of skill shots going over to Mino Haxor, and it picks up a kill for Uri.
Wow. Those hooks are ridiculous. Nautilus really kind of MVPing it up there in that fight. You can just look at his score and say, hey, his individual performance is great, team play is great. Really, really got to give a shout out to Galguy for really coming into this game and helping out the rest of his team. He helps out Yummy Bananas, who also, by the way, honorable mention, great Absolute Zero at the turret to really push Carnegie Mellon back and stop them in the tracks, help set up that engage later on. It's all looking good, firing on all cylinders as the metaphor goes. Really, really cool to see Toronto doing so well.
Yeah, these fights have been somewhat chaotic, but so far Toronto, they are pointed out right now. They are 5K gold up. Next dragon will be available in 25 seconds. It's going to be the Infernal Drake, so that is going to be a point of contention for both teams. But University of Toronto, they want to keep their domination in these team fights, especially with how aggressive Jish is, how aggressive Galguy is, even on a tanky champion. That Infernal Drake would just amplify that aggression and really help them out. As we see the Fiery Drake, Infernal Drake just perch himself up onto the mountain and climb down into his little nest, his little pit. See which team's able to pick that one up. It looks like it may be started by University of Toronto, as CMU are a little bit out of position. And Galguy doing a great job just zoning everyone from CMU off. They cannot get past the big wall that is Nautilus, and the Infernal Drake, it goes over to University of Toronto uncontested.
Indeed it does, and at least for the time being, I'm still looking for signs of life, Fekez. You know, I'm not one of those, casters who's just like, hey, they have a strong advantage, things are just over. Carnegie Mellon, they're trying to put something together here in the mid lane. We'll see if they can make it stick.
Yeah, they are, and that's the Equalizer coming down, but a big Absolute Zero chunking a lot of members of Carnegie Mellon, and now Uri is able just to pick off everybody from the backside. That is a clean ace Rapid, and the Baron just got on the map. That was a triple kill for Uri, and an ace, and now the Baron. That was a great fight for Toronto.
Man, Fekez, you know, my optimism's starting to wane a little bit right as I got done saying it.
That was very ill-timed optimism.
Yeah, I was looking for the cloud, the silver lining and the cloudiness of this game for Carnegie Mellon, and Man, it's looking like all clouds so far. Yummy Bananas, rather, is kind of playing a dangerous game there, but in the end, we'll survive. We'll take down Baron Nashor, and of course, Jeesh in the mid-time taking down that middle lane outer turret. Wow, 17-4 the score, and it's looking like a repeat of game number 1.
Yeah, the coffin is made in Carnegie Mellon. They are invited to lay into that coffin, and if they don't, Toronto, they're going to put them in there, chokeslam them in there for anybody who's a wrestling fan. See that plenty of times with The Undertaker, and you're going to see that with Toronto right now, I believe, because Carnegie Mellon, they do not have quit in them. They're going to keep this game going as long as possible. The longer the game goes on, the less of an advantage Toronto has. And it starts evening out in the terms of gold and items, but of course the map pressure is still going to be in favor of Toronto as we see them pressuring into this inner mid lane turret, and there's really nothing that Carnegie Mellon can do. Even with Yusui's wave clear, these empowered minions are completely halting that sort of dream.
Watching Galgai walk forward, take auto attacks from Ash, I actually had the screen zoomed in, and his health bar did not move for me. So, you know, I'm not saying the graphics are off. I'm just saying things are looking good for Toronto.
Yeah,
Galgai specifically.
Coggles only has a Blade of the Ruin King.
Yeah, what is this? What is this Ash build? Blade of the Ruin King first? I mean, I know they changed that recently, but I don't think it's that big of a buff to go to that first item. Maybe it is a good item to go when you're this far behind, but I mean, when you have a 0-10 bottom lane, it's going to be a little bit difficult to find any item that gives you the damage you need.
Yeah, that's for sure. And if anything, Blade of the Ruin King gives you sustain, but you get bursted out. That really doesn't matter. That's exactly what we see from Jeesh this entire game. 5-0-6 right now, and he did finish his Maladon Mortius. So opting for that for the second item instead of that first, and now has a BF sword as well, just to add to his arsenal. He only has, not even building that much lethality. He only has actually one lethality item, so he's just outright damaging people and killing them with his just his overall kit. That is the bot lane inhibitor turret going down. Toronto, they are going to take the inhibitor as well with no problem because the minions are still empowered by this Baron Nashor buff.
Indeed they are, Fekaz. One inhibitor going down, and I like to see, I would like to see maybe a rotation all the way through the jungle, or to pick up the blue buff, set things up as far as ward control goes, and you know, not try to overextend. Baron does have about less than a quarter left on it, so I mean, they're very strong. Could try to push through another one, but I'm getting a little bit worried that they might be overextending.
The equalizer gets thrown down, and it lands in a very nice position, but it's not going to stop Mega Zero from dying, because Galgai, he can pretty much go anywhere he wants, and he's protecting Uri, allowing him to pick up these kills. Very nice teamwork by Galgai and Uri, and now Jeesh is unleashed. He's in there. He's going to get a double kill for himself. Mino Haxor, the only one left alive, and that's going to be the only thing left alive for CMU, as Toronto, they focus in on these Nexus turrets, and powered minions are in the base, and that is going to be game number 3, going over to University of Toronto. They are now 1-up in this series, 2-1. They only have one more game to bring this one back into a win.
Yikes. All right, never mind my concern. 21-4, the final score. With Toronto taking a 2-1 lead in this series. Immaculate play by Galgai up in the top lane. Crazy good hooks and engages. And just like we saw Yusui really pop off in game number 2, this time it was Jeesh's turn. A 706 score for his Talon in the mid lane. And, you know, going into game number 4, it's coming up, and you're really going to have to put some eyes on not only Yusui to go back to his hard carry lifestyle, but Coggles and Mino Haxor finished that game 0-11. So some signs of life need to get resuscitated into that duo lane to see the score get evened up here as we head into game number 4.
Yeah, a lot of patches to fix for CMU. If they can bring out what they had in game number 2 into game number 4 coming up, they may stand a chance of bringing it to a game number 5. But we have to get there first. My name is Joshua Fekaz Quest, here with Reed, Rapid Melton. Stick around. We'll be back in just a moment, getting into picks and bans for game number 4.
only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.